In the last video I sent you, we talked about the real reason why you are not making the change you want to in your writing life. So many of us have been raised in the willpower model of change, otherwise known as the New Year's resolution model of change, in which we're told that if we want it bad enough, we will make it happen. But what was fascinating to me in reading Lisa Lahey's book, Immunity to Change, was that her research shows that real change does not come about purely through willpower. In fact, if you've ever had a New Year's resolution that you gave up around the second week of January, you will already understand that willpower can only take you so far. Lisa Lahey talks about how the more powerful, efficient, and long-standing way to affect change in your life is to understand the conflicting commitments and counter-commitments that you have in your life, and how the underlying assumptions you have about those may be keeping you in a state of freeze. If you didn't watch the first part of this video series, now would be an ideal time to go back and watch it. I'll link to that video in the description below. But just as a quick recap, here's what Lisa Lahey's Immunity to Change model involves. First, you have your commitment, which might be something like, I want to write 3 times a week. Then you have your sabotaging behaviors, which might be something like, every time I sit down to write, I answer work emails instead. The hidden counter commitment is something that you discover through this process. Basically, you're asking yourself, what are your sabotaging behaviors helping you to achieve in your life? What is this counter commitment that's also really important to you? I'll give you an example of a conversation that I recently had with a client. Her commitment was that she wanted to start writing 3 times a week. And her sabotaging behavior was that she would often do housework or answer work emails instead of writing. Through our conversation, we discovered her counter commitment, which was that she wanted to be a good wife and mother and a contributing member of her household. So all the sabotaging behaviors she was doing, answering emails, cleaning the house, were helping her achieve that important counter commitment. We then talked about her underlying assumption, which was that if she set aside time each week to work on her writing, she would be undermining her ability to be a good wife and mother. So as you can see, my client was stuck. We needed to go to the last step in the Immunity to Change process, which teaches you how to break out of this seemingly intractable problem. The thing that keeps us frozen in place is our underlying assumption. And the underlying assumption is so powerful because it keeps us thinking in black and white terms. We can either do our commitment or our counter commitment, but we can't do both. So what we need to do next is test the assumption. If we can see, even in the smallest sense, that there's something about this assumption that is not true, it can free us up to start behaving differently and making real change in our lives. So let's go back to my client who was anxious that if she focused on her writing, she would be undermining her ability to be a good wife and partner. What we needed to do was design a test for her that would help her see whether her assumption was true or not. Now, the key to designing a test is that you don't want to go big with it. For example, if my client had decided she suddenly wanted to write for an hour, 5 mornings a week, that would generate a lot of tension in her system because that's a lot of confrontation for her underlying assumption all at once. So we really want to keep things small. We want the data test to be a little bit challenging, but not overwhelming. So what we settled on was that she was going to try 1 time in the upcoming week to write 20 minutes in the morning. And then she was going to observe how that impacted the rest of her day. Did that small writing session really undermine her ability to be a contributing member of her household? What my client found was that actually, the 20 minutes of writing made no difference at all in her ability to show up for her work and her household responsibilities. Once she realized that, it was sort of like breaking out of a mental cage. And the last time I checked in with her, she was writing 3 times a week consistently and making good progress on her memoir. It might seem strange that such a small test could have such a big impact, but I think that speaks to how our psychological challenges play such a big role in our behaviors and our actions. Once the underlying assumption is brought to light and we can see how it may not actually be true, that opens up all kinds of avenues for us to start making changes in our lives. So for this last step in the video, I'd like for you to take some time to think about what kind of test might be helpful for you to undertake to start shaking the power of your underlying assumption. If you're having trouble thinking of a data test that will work, Drop me a question in the comments section of this video, and I'll help you brainstorm this part of the process. This exercise is just one of the many mindset tools that I use in my 5-month coaching program, the Writer's Transformation Project, to help writers make meaningful, long-standing change in their writing lives. After many years of working with writers, I realized that knowledge of craft and process was necessary, but not sufficient to help writers reach their big writing dreams. The missing piece in all of this was mindset, helping writers understand and overcome the psychological blocks that had been holding them back. So in the Writer's Transformation Project, I focus not only on craft and process, but helping you shift your mindset around writing and your writing identity. Over the past 3 years, I've seen the Writer's Transformation Project help writers make tremendous strides in their writing life. It's a really exciting part of my job to work with these writers, and I'm thrilled to be offering the program again this year. If you'd like to find out more about the Writer's Transformation Project, check out the buttons at the bottom of the email where you receive these video links, or you can check out the links in the comments section of this YouTube video. And there you can learn more about the program or sign up for the waitlist for the next session. And anytime you're ready, you can sign up for a free 60-minute consultation with me where we'll explore your biggest writing dreams, your current writing challenges, and determine whether we'd be a good fit to work together in the program.